everyone, it's Cajun DIY Diva, and today we are going to paint a whimsical New Orleans shotgun house. I've painted many of these in the past, and they're always very popular for my classes, and I just want to show you, give you some ideas about what to do to paint one of these in a very whimsical style. I don't do like a very real style, because if you wanted it to look perfect like that, you would take a picture. So just so you could see better, I'm using an old canvas that had something painted on it before, and I went ahead and I did an outline in black paint just so you could see it better, so you could see all the lines and everything. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do kind of a dark night sky. So I have some ultramarine blue, and I'm just going to paint a background that comes to about right there. I put a little tiny bit of white into this ultramarine blue color, and I'm just painting a simple background. You can get a little more, spend a little more time with this, but I'm just going to do this painting pretty quickly for the purposes of this video. I'm just going to paint it on and fill it in really fast. Now, if I was teaching a class, this would definitely be a 2-hour class at least. Oh, it came down a little bit further than I've planned on, but that's okay. So there's my background. So the next thing I'm going to do is, I think I'll paint the porch. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put a little bit of black on my palette. I've already got some white on my palette, and I'm going to mix a little, I'm going to make a gray, so I'm going to mix a little black and white together and make a gray. And it's mostly white and just a little bit of black. And I just want it to be kind of a plain looking porch, because the steps are going to be bright colored, kind of red. So I'm painting that part in a little bit lighter shade of gray. I'm going to paint right underneath the porch. Now it's okay if I paint over the lines a little bit, because I'll come back at the end and fix up the lines. Okay, so that's the porch, and I think what I'll do is I'm going to be doing the shutter doors in this lavender purple color. Let's see what color this is. Brilliant purple is what the color says, but it's a little bit lighter purple. And I'm just going to put a little bit on my brush and just brush a little bit into that gray. And it's just going to tie in the purple shutters with the gray porch. Okay, so that's enough of that. Now I'm getting all the gray off of my brush, and I'm going to go ahead and paint the purple onto the shutters. Now I could have painted this whole thing with gesso first, but the colors that were on here were very light. If you have a canvas that has darker colors painted on it, I would advise you to paint the whole thing with gesso or just a white paint before you start trying to cover it with another painting or another color, just to kind of give yourself a blank canvas to paint on, but these colors, it was just kind of a pink and a light blue that was on here before, and I felt like they were okay for me to just paint right over them. So these are very long and skinny shutter doors. Again, they're whimsical. They're not meant to be like a real door. You'd have to be a skinny person probably to fit through such skinny doors, but that's okay. It's very whimsical, and that's the way we want it. And I like to paint and let certain things dry while I'm painting other things. So I'm going to finish up with the purple for now and paint a different part of the canvas. So I'm going to do the steps, and the steps are going to be kind of a red-orange color. So I'm going to take some crimson red and some bright yellow. See, that tube was a little empty, so let me give another one, another good squeeze. And I'm going to switch to a little bit smaller brush. Now I'm just going to mix the red, because the red is a little too red, so I'm going to mix some yellow in it. A little too bright. Okay, so now I'm just going to paint these steps red, bright red, and that just makes them pop. They really pop. Excuse my arm in the way. I'm trying to paint it so that you can see. Okay, so there's the red. Now, I'm going to go up to the top, and I'm going to paint some white trim on this house. So, well, first thing I'm going to do is paint these little windows or ceiling vents, whatever you want to call them, up here. And they're just a cute shape, really decorative on the house. So I'm going to paint those. Try not to touch your canvas. It's hard. I have a habit of resting my hand on the canvas when I'm painting, but you have to kind of pull your hand, kind of keep it a little away from the canvas. And now I'm going to paint a white border. And I'm going to paint a decorative molding. And come all the way across. And now I'm going to paint the little corbels. These are just little decorative roof supports for the porch roof. And the last thing I'm going to paint white for right now is the moldings on top of the doors. I'm painting it kind of fast, and doing it fast kind of goes with the whimsical style. So now I'm going to use this light blue, and this is going to be the color of the house. Alright, so let's see how this color looks against the purple. So it looks awesome against the purple. So you want to think about, you could do this house in any color that you want. If you know someone who lives in a New Orleans house, you could, you know, make, I got a little purple on my brush, kind of smeared in, but that's okay, we'll make it work. But what an awesome gift to give someone is to paint a whimsical version of their house, if you know someone who lives in New Orleans. Or just as a keepsake of your trip to New Orleans, paint a cute little house that is representative of New Orleans architecture. Anyone would love to get that as a gift. Now again, my brush kind of touched the purple, but I actually kind of like it that the purple is getting in there a little bit, so I'm just going to go with it. That's a lot of my painting, is just going with whatever's happening. If I may have an accident on the canvas, I just make it work. Okay, now I'm also going to paint the blue up at the top, in and around these little windows. I got kind of a little lump of the blue paint. Paint's kind of, this tube is not the newest tube, and it's got a few little clumps in it, but I like it. It just adds texture to the canvas. Okay, so now I think I'm going to paint some green grass down at the bottom. So I've got this viridian green and this bright yellow, and I'm just going to mix the two to make a nice green for the grass. Alright, so I'm mixing these two. And I'm just kind of, that's just kind of your horizon line there. It's a very minimal horizon line on this picture, but it's there on the side of the house. Okay, so now I'm going to try to even out the green on each side. Alright, so it's now at the stage where we can just do finishing touches, and I do see a spot where I feel like I need a little more blue paint right there. I feel like it didn't go quite thick enough in that area. Okay. So what I want to do now is some finishing touches, and I'm going to use some black for that. And the finishing touches are what make it come alive. But before I use the black, I'm going to take a fine tip brush. It doesn't have to be that fine, but you know, kind of fine. Oh, I forgot one thing. I want to put a row of like red shingles across the top. So I'm going to use that same kind of red-orange that I used for the steps, and that is going to tie the red steps in with the rest of the painting. Alright, so now we're ready for the finishing touches. I'm also going to take, so one of the finishing touches is I'm going to add a little pizzazz into these shutters. So I'm just going to kind of use my brush, just kind of put just a little paint, and I put some red, some of the same red, and I'm just going to make thin little very wispy light lines going across to represent the shutters. The thinner these lines, the better, but if they do come out a little heavier, you can either come back over with some purple or just don't even worry about it. The trick to this is doing it fast. Don't do this. That makes your line heavier. You just want to go lightly, just barely touching the canvas. Let's try from the bottom up this one. Sometimes dipping your brush in water helps to make a thinner line. Okay, I'm also going to now put my brush, I'm going to, let's see, rinse off the red, dip my brush in the blue, and come back with a few little lines in the blue. Not as many lines as the red. It's just kind of, adds a whimsical touch to have these different colors in there. The trick is when to know not to overdo it, not to put too much. Okay, so there's that. So now I think I'm almost ready for my black. But I'm going to first squeeze out a little more yellow. I'm going to add a little yellow into the steps, just a little touch. Just here and there, just a little tiny bit, and a little yellow. See, I've got a little too much on my brush. You just want a little bit on your brush when you do this, and just here and there, just add some little splotches of yellow into those tiles. Okay, so now, to finish it, what I like to do is I take my black and I like to dip my brush in my water a couple of times to loosen up the black paint. I want it to be thinner. I don't want it to be too thick, because thinner is better. It'll make a much more smooth line. And I'm just going to outline things, a lot of things that I had outlined already, really. But my lines aren't perfect. They're not perfect outlines. Like, see how I have kind of broken lines like that? That also adds to the whimsy. I'm just going to outline, just keep on adding some whimsical touches with the outline. And you can see how it's really starting to pop and come alive with the black. Now, I want to put a little vent right here. It's just a little oval. Like, almost make it look like a flower. And dip my brush in white to add a little, kind of fill it in, but make it not totally black. Now, oh, I forgot I didn't finish this door. Okay, so the doors are outlined, but I want to make each one doors that they can open. So, and they're supposed to be shutters, so I'm going to do a line down the center of each. And this is where you got to be brave. If you're a little unsure, you may want to draw it with a pencil before you do this. Even better is a chalk pencil, because a chalk pencil will wipe off with water so it gives you a little more room for error. Of course, this is not a straight line. I would never get a ruler out to do this, because there are no straight lines in art as far as I'm concerned. At least not in this whimsical art. So some of my lines are coming out a little bit heavier than others, but you know, like, it doesn't bother me. Okay, now I'm going to outline my corbels a little bit. Give it a little, kind of a little detail there. And give my roof line, this molding, a little detail. Now, let's give the roof a little detail. And on this is meant to be tile, so I'm kind of gonna make little curved marks here. On the outside, on the top, I'm making these little curves so that I can put little lines to separate the tiles. Do the same thing. And don't want to forget, well, oh, I'm almost forgetting the little moldings on top of the doors. I can't forget those. Those are very important. And on these, the one in the center, I'm going to make a little more detail on this little window. Kind of like a ceiling vent, so I'm just going to make some little details right there. And this is about it. not much more I would do to it. I think I will add a few little white highlights here and there. I'm going to add a few to the shutters. I think I want them to pop just a little bit more. But it's just a little bit. It's not a whole lot of white. I don't want it to start taking over and looking striped or something. It's good to take your brush and kind of dab off when you put paint on your brush so that you don't put too much. I'm going to add a little white highlight to the steps. And like I said, not very much. A little bit into the center thing. I'm going to add a tiny bit of yellow into some of the white moldings. Just a little tiny bit, not very much, but these are the things that you as an artist see it. But normal people who are looking at it, they don't notice these details, but it draws their eye to the painting to have all of these details. Okay, so that, let's see, I'll put a little, just because I feel like playing a little bit. I'll just add a little, because there's still some yellow on my brush, I'll add a little more into the bottom. And you can do this, you know, you can do as much as you want. I think I'll do a little of the dark blue kind of an outline where the grass meets the sky. And that's about it. So this is CajunDIYDiva. I thank you for watching. And if you like this video, please comment, like, and subscribe. Please share this video. And please come back and watch again. Thank you.